Welcome to Class 9 of Project Job Search, Action Plan, Interviewing and Following Up. In our last class, we showed you how to find hidden job opportunities and how to create your own job within a target company. In this class, we'll get you prepared to interview with confidence and show you what to say in an actionable follow-up note to maximize your chances of continuing in the interview process and landing the job. Congratulations! You've made it to the interview stage. All of your hard work on your project job search has produced results. Now it's showtime. In the time you have leading up to the day of your interview, get prepared, both mentally and physically. You might have weeks, or maybe just a day or two. Whatever it is, use the time wisely so you walk into the interview feeling as confident and calm as possible. During this time, before your interview, study the company the position is with, as well as the industry it's in. Start with the company's website. If they're a public company, read their annual report. Yes, it's boring, but you'll learn a lot. Search for the company at Yahoo Finance and read related news stories going back about a year. Check who their competitors are and how they differentiate themselves. You should be very familiar with what the company does and be prepared to discuss it. You also need to get an idea about what it's like to work at this company day to day. Visit Glassdoor.com to read employee and ex-employee reviews. But take these with a grain of salt. Just like on Yelp or TripAdvisor, the people most likely to write a review are the disgruntled ones. To round out this picture, contact people you know who have worked at or are familiar with the company and ask them about the company's culture and activities. Research the person you will be interviewing with, whether it's your potential boss, the owner of the company, someone from HR, or a recruiter. Take a look at their LinkedIn profile and see if you have any common connections. If you have a common connection who is a friend of yours, call and ask for some input. Try to get a feel for what your interviewer is like. On their LinkedIn profile, also look at what groups and influencers they follow. Do a Google search and see what's out there about them. Speeches, articles, interviews, Facebook posts, tweets, Instagram, Pinterest. Be a sleuth. See what you can find that might give you an idea of who you are talking to and what you have in common. If you've gotten this interview through a recruiter, they should be an excellent resource for prepping you for the interview. They'll have lots of information about the role, the company, and the people you'll be meeting with. They might also share with you some information about the history of the search, like who's been interviewed so far, how the search is going, etc. Recruiters can also give you guidance on things to emphasize or downplay when discussing your qualifications and experience. If you're not going through a recruiter, it will be up to you to research the person or people you'll be meeting with. See if you can figure out how they got to their current position by reviewing their work history on LinkedIn. Finally, make sure you understand as much as possible about the position you're interviewing for and how it fits in the overall scheme of things within the company. First impressions count, especially in an interview. If you are meeting in person, make sure that you are up to snuff grooming-wise. We're not kidding about this. Make sure your hair is neat and your nails are trimmed and clean. Dress professionally, but instead of wearing a typical workday outfit, skew it towards the formal side of whatever is appropriate for your field. Clothing should be clean, pressed, and tailored. Stick in the solid colors. Make sure your shoes are polished and jewelry is kept to a minimum. A wedding ring and watch only for the guys. If seeing the company through a recruiter, ask for advice regarding the dress code. For the more creative fields, you can take more leeway and break out of the mold a bit more, but it's always safe to stick to the less eccentric end of the range. Bring a briefcase, tote or messenger bag, along with a notepad and nice pen. You'll need to take notes during the interview. Arrive 10 minutes before your interview is scheduled to start. Make sure your phone is set to silent. Let the receptionist or admin know you're there. Then take a few minutes to go to the bathroom and check yourself in the mirror. Never underestimate the power of those who work in supporting roles. The receptionists and admins are frequently asked to weigh in on hiring decisions, and their opinion is very important. Once you walk in the door, pretend everyone you see is evaluating you, and be friendly and nice to them all. You'll probably be offered something to drink at this point. Steer away from coffee or tea. Stick to water, preferably from whoever greets you. You'll be thankful for a sip of water during your interview. But if your interviewer is the one who has to go get it, it will just be a delay and a distraction from your interview. If you're shown to the room where your interview will be conducted, try to remain standing until the interviewer enters the room and asks you to sit. If that becomes awkward, sit somewhere other than at the head of the table and stand to greet your interviewer when they arrive. When greeting them, maintain eye contact and smile while shaking their hand firmly but not too hard. If you're being interviewed by more than one person, be sure to treat them all with the utmost respect and greet everyone with a smile, regardless of where you think they are on the totem pole. Make an effort to be friendly and likable. Your resume has shown them you have the basic skills needed for the job. Now they have to determine if you are a good fit for their company culture and if they can see themselves working with you. In general, aim to let them do most of the talking. 40% you, 60% them. If they do the lion's share of the talking, they are likely to come away with a positive feeling about the interview. Never assume that people will understand how your background has prepared you for the role you're interviewing for. You'll need to explain to them how your skills and experiences are relevant and how it will help them with the challenges they are facing. Most interviews conclude with the interviewer asking if you have any questions for them. It is very important that you ask 2 or 3 questions at the end of the interview. If you fail to ask any questions, you not only miss an opportunity to get a read on how the interview went, but you also give the impression that you're not very interested in the job, whether that is true or not. One question you should always ask is, do you have any hesitations or concerns about my qualifications for this position? If they do, you now know what these concerns are and have the chance to address them on the spot. Some other questions you could ask are, how would you describe the company's culture? That's a great question to ask, especially if you are speaking with someone in HR. What qualities in a person do you think are most important to help them excel in this role? In your opinion, what do my skills best address the challenges of this position? You'll probably have your own opinion about this at this point, but it's a great way to find out how they view you. What are your expectations for this position at 30 days, 100 days, 1 year? What constitutes success in this role? At this point, don't ask about salary or benefits. This question comes in negotiations. Don't ask yes or no questions. You won't glean much additional information with a simple yes or no. Don't ask about anything already covered during the interview unless you need further clarification. For this reason, have a couple of backup questions in mind in case your first picks are covered in the interview. Finally, always finish up by asking what the next steps are. The answers to these questions, plus your overall gut feel, should give you a pretty good idea as to whether or not you're still in the running for this job. Follow up the interview with a thank you note, but make sure it's not generic. Sending a generic thank you note is missing out on a great opportunity to reinforce the impression you have made, address any concerns they might have expressed, and to provide additional information showing how you're a great fit for the job. Take a day to reflect on the interview, and then think about your answers to these questions. 1. What did the interviewer respond to most positively? What parts of your experience got them most interested in what you were saying? 2. What concerns, if any, did the interviewer express at the end of the interview? 3. Is there anything you wish you had mentioned? Now that you have additional information gleaned from the interview, is there something you'd like to give more emphasis to? With the answers to these questions in mind, write the thank you note and either email it or drop it in the mail no more than 24 hours after your interview took place. Now you're prepared to interview with confidence and send an actionable follow-up note to maximize your chances of continuing in the interview process and landing the job. Before moving on to the next class, you should try to complete the steps on the Quick Start Guide. In Class 10, we'll make sure that when you do get the offer, you'll know how to hit the sweet spot in negotiations and how to survive the probation period at your new job.